Robert Mueller leaves after he pours gasoline on the Democrat fire. This is so evil. We're going to play Robert Mueller's farewell speech for you so that you can see and hear with your own eyes exactly what's going on. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance. Welcome to the program, friend. I'm going to front load this for you. First of all, most Americans were working when Robert Mueller had his press conference. He made statements. He didn't take any questions. And then you see the left-wing fake news media seize onto one or two lines and run with it. So to give you the full context, while you're at home in the evening watching me on television, I'm going to let you see Mueller's comments, but I need to front load it a little bit. Please grasp this. The prosecutor's job, he was a special prosecutor, okay? The prosecutor's job is to determine if there is enough evidence to bring charges. It's not the job of the prosecutor to exonerate or to find not guilty. So you're going to hear him say, we did not find sufficient evidence to exonerate the president. Whoa, wait a minute. That's not your job. That's not your job. So by even saying that, he betrayed one of the fundamental purposes of a prosecutor. A prosecutor is to determine if there's probable cause. If it goes to trial, would there be a crime committed beyond reasonable doubt? That's all a prosecutor does. So when Ken Starr, if you can remember back that far during the Clinton era, when Ken Starr, the special investigator, the special prosecutor, investigated Clinton, he had a list of things that Clinton did wherein he broke the law. He took them to Congress and said, here's where the president, in our opinion, committed a crime. Congress agreed, and the House impeached President Clinton because of the evidence. That was what Mueller was supposed to be doing. Did the president collude? Did the president commit obstruction of justice? No, because if he had, Mueller's job would have been to say, we believe there is sufficient evidence here to bring an indictment or to bring a prosecution or to bring an impeachment against the president because he committed obstruction. He didn't have the evidence. So what he has done is disgustingly political. I'm going to play it for you so you get to see the whole thing, but I want you to understand kind of the premise of what's going on, because what we see going on here is a bait and switch with Mueller. He's saying, let me just play it. Go ahead.
2 years ago, the acting attorney general asked me to serve as special counsel, and he created the special counsel's office. The appointment order directed the office to investigate Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. This included investigating any links or coordination between the Russian government and individuals associated with the Trump campaign. Now, I have not spoken publicly during our investigation. I'm speaking out today because our investigation is complete. The Attorney General has made the report on our investigation largely public. We are formally closing the special counsel's office, and as well, I'm resigning from the Department of Justice to return to private life. I'll make a few remarks about the results of our work. But beyond these few remarks, it is important that the office's written work speak for itself. Let me begin where the appointment order begins, and that is interference in the 2016 presidential election. As alleged by the grand jury in an indictment, Russian intelligence officers who were part of the Russian military launched a concerted attack on our political system. The indictment alleges that they used sophisticated cyber techniques to hack into computers and networks used by the Clinton campaign. They stole private information and then released that information through fake online identities and through the organization WikiLeaks. The releases were designed and timed to interfere with our election and to damage a presidential candidate. And at the same time, as the grand jury alleged in a separate indictment, a private Russian entity engaged in a social media operation where Russian citizens posed as Americans in order to influence an election. These indictments contain allegations, and we are not commenting on the guilt or the innocence of any specific defendant. Every defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty. The indictments allege, and the other activities in our report describe, efforts to interfere in our political system. They needed to be investigated and understood, and that is among the reasons why the Department of Justice established our office. That is also a reason we investigated efforts to obstruct the investigation. The matters we investigated were of paramount importance. It was critical for us to obtain full and accurate information from every person we questioned. When a subject of an investigation obstructs that investigation or lies to investigators, it strikes at the core of the government's effort to find the truth and hold wrongdoers accountable. Let me say a word about the report. The report has two parts, addressing the two main issues we were asked to investigate. The first volume of the report details numerous efforts emanating from Russia to influence the election. This volume includes a discussion of the Trump campaign's response to this activity, as well as our conclusion that there was insufficient evidence to charge a broader conspiracy. And in the second volume, the report describes the results and analysis of our obstruction of justice investigation involving the president.
All right, I've got to take a quick break. You know what's interesting to me? We now know that the Russians, without question, were involved in the 2016 election by helping Hillary. I think that Mueller has a political motive in what he's done, but I'll talk about that at the end of the show. Don't go away. Introducing Roxy Guitar. If you're a guitar or bass player, whether you play acoustic or electric, check out Roxy Guitar. I've been playing for over 40 years and seen guitar stores all over America. I've never seen a store like Roxy Guitar. Roxy Guitar has over 700 guitars in stock, over 1,500 pedals, over 200 amps. For the beginner or price-conscious buyer, there's Michael Kelly guitars. For the serious player or professional, Roxy Guitar has the finest selection of guitar lines I've ever seen. You know I love Warrior guitars. Roxy Guitar has over 100 Warriors in stock. They have Heritage, G&L, Gretsch, John Sears, BC Rich, Duesenberg, Dean, legendary guitars at great prices, including pre-owned Gibsons, Fenders, and more. Let them know you heard about Roxy Guitar from Randall Terry and receive 10% or more off your purchase on select items. Go to roxyguitar.com. Welcome back. Let's continue with Robert Mueller, letting him speak for himself. And then you decide if what you're hearing from the shrieking howls of the left-wing media is an accurate representation.
The order appointing me special counsel authorized us to investigate actions that could obstruct the investigation. And we conducted that investigation, and we kept the office of the acting attorney general apprised of the progress of our work. And as set forth in the report, after that investigation, if we had had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so. We did not, however, make a determination as to whether the president did commit a crime. The introduction to the volume 2 of our report explains that decision. It explains that under long-standing department policy, a president cannot be charged with a federal crime while he is in office. That is unconstitutional. Even if the charge is kept under seal and hidden from public view, that too is prohibited. The special counsel's office is part of the Department of Justice, and by regulation, it was bound by that department policy. Charging the president with a crime was therefore not an option we could consider. The department's written opinion explaining the policy makes several important points that further informed our handling of the obstruction investigation. Those points are summarized in our report, and I will describe two of them for you. First, the opinion explicitly permits the investigation of a sitting president because it is important to preserve evidence while memories are fresh and documents available. Among other things, that evidence could be used if there were co-conspirators who could be charged now. And second, the opinion says that the Constitution requires a process other than the criminal justice system to formally accuse a sitting president of wrongdoing. And beyond department policy, we were guided by principles of fairness. It would be unfair to potentially accuse somebody of a crime when there can be no court resolution of the actual charge. So that was Justice Department policy. Those were the principles under which we operated, and from them we concluded that we would not reach a determination one way or the other about whether the president committed a crime. That is the office's final position, and we will not comment on any other conclusions or hypotheticals about the president. We conducted an independent criminal investigation and reported the results to the Attorney General, as required by department regulations. The Attorney General then concluded that it was appropriate to provide our report to Congress and to the American people. At one point in time, I requested that certain portions of the report be released. The Attorney General preferred to make the entire report public all at once, and we appreciate that the Attorney General made the report largely public, and I certainly do not question the Attorney General's good faith in that decision. Now, I hope and expect this to be the only time that I will speak to you in this manner. I am making that decision myself. No one has told me whether I can or should testify or speak further about this matter. There has been discussion about an appearance before Congress. Any testimony from this office would not go beyond our report. It contains our findings and analysis and the reasons for the decisions we made. We chose those words carefully, and the work speaks for itself. And the report is my testimony. I would not provide information beyond that which is already public in any appearance before Congress. In addition, access to our underlying work product is being decided in a process that does not involve our office. So beyond what I've said here today and what is contained in our written work, I do not believe it is appropriate for me to speak further about the investigation or to comment on the actions of the Justice Department or Congress. And it's for that reason I will not be taking questions today as well. Now,
All right, there you have it. Hillary, for sure, paid for a dirty dossier that started this whole thing. Do you realize that Robert Mueller stood in front of those cameras knowing that the entire investigation about Donald Trump, the FISA warrants, were the secret court spying on Trump, that all of that originated with a fake dossier paid for by Hillary Clinton that involved Russian agents? And yet he stood there and dared to tell the American people that he could not exonerate the president regarding obstruction of justice. I'm going to take a break. When I come back, I'm going to tell you what I think is really going on here. And I think it involves Robert Mueller saving his own skin. Don't go away.
I also want to speak tonight directly to Muslims throughout the world. We respect your faith. Its teachings are good and peaceful. And those who commit evil in the name of Allah blaspheme the name of Allah.
We have reaffirmed again and again that the United States is not and never will be at war with Islam. Islam teaches peace.
Islam is a religion of peace. They are not Muslims, they are monsters.
We've been told that Muslim terrorists have hijacked the peaceful religion of Islam. But Islamic art and literature tell a very different story. To know the truth, we only have to study the narrative of the founder of Islam, Muhammad, in his own words. Welcome back, friend. The President of the United States has committed no crime. He just didn't. Not in this area, not in regards to colluding with Russia or obstructing the investigation. It was a scam from the beginning. But the president is not going to just tell us this. He has decided to declassify virtually everything that led up to this garbage. Now, if you've been watching the news, you know that there are members of the Democrat Party, they're screaming, no, this is going to compromise American security. This is going to compromise law enforcement. No, it's not. What it's going to do is show that there were criminal acts committed by people in the FBI, that there were people inside of the Department of Justice who lied to courts to get bogus search warrants, gave bogus data, knew that they were withholding evidence, knew that they were committing a crime. I think that people are going to be indicted. I think that Barr is going to bring indictments against people who were involved in trying to have a coup against President Trump. And I think Mueller knows that. I think what Mueller was doing was he was sending a signal to Congress. I won't testify. And it's not because he won't testify regarding Trump. It's because he doesn't want to testify regarding what he knew about the fake FISA warrants, what he knew about collusion with Russia to help Hillary. Do you understand? I think that Mueller right now is terrified. If Comey and he are talking, which they might be, Comey could easily be indicted. Eric Clapper could be indicted. There's people that were high up in the Obama administration that could be indicted for deceiving federal courts, which is a criminal act, okay? I think Mueller knows this. And I think Mueller does not want to be in front of Republican congressmen saying, wait a minute, you knew X, Y, and Z, and yet you proceeded with this? You probably knew within 30 or 60 days that there was no collusion with Russia, and yet you proceeded with this? This is not about him not wanting to testify before Democrats. This is about him not wanting to testify before Republicans that are skilled prosecutors, skilled lawyers, that are going to drill down and get to the bottom of the fact that this was a political witch hunt from the beginning, and he knew it, and he participated in it, and he took dirty evidence, and he let people off the hook inside of the Department of Justice, inside the Obama administration, inside the FBI, who should have had charges brought against them. Mr. Mueller, what did you know? And when did you know it? In your part to bring down this president. I'll be right back, friend. I'm going to tell you what this is all about in a bigger picture sense. Don't go away. What Would Muhammad Do? Islamic Terrorism Explained is the best movie series documentary ever produced on the life of Muhammad and Islam. How do I know? Because it's what critics are saying. John Moore, radio host and author, said, I learned more from What Would Muhammad Do about Islam and Islamic terrorism than I've learned from everything I ever read and watched in my entire life. Best-selling author Dr. Bill Warner said, What Would Muhammad Do is the best movie series, TV production on the life of Muhammad and Islamic terrorism that has ever been produced. Friends, this is what the experts are saying. No one has ever done what we've done. I encourage you to get 1, 2, 4 copies. Call 304-289-3700. That's 304-289-3700, or order it at the address or the website that you see on the screen. Introducing Roxy Guitar. If you're a guitar or bass player, whether you play acoustic or electric, check out Roxy Guitar. I've been playing for over 40 years and seen guitar stores all over America. I've never seen a store like Roxy Guitar. Roxy Guitar has over 700 guitars in stock, over 1,500 pedals, over 200 amps. For the beginner or price-conscious buyer, there's Michael Kelly guitars. For the serious player or professional, Roxy Guitar has the finest selection of guitar lines I've ever seen. You know I love Warrior guitars. Roxy Guitar has over 100 Warriors in stock. They have Heritage, G&L, Gretsch, John Sears, BC Rich, Duesenberg, Dean, legendary guitars at great prices, including pre-owned Gibsons, Fenders, and more. Let them know you heard about Roxy Guitar from Randall Terry and receive 10% or more off your purchase on select items. Go to roxyguitar.com. Friend, let me tell you, in my opinion, my studied opinion, prayerful opinion, what is really going on here. President Trump is a reprieve. President Reagan was a reprieve. President Bush the Younger was a reprieve after the Clinton years. But in spite of those reprieves, if you look at the United States of America from the 60s to now, the trajectory has been steadily downhill, ethically, morally, sexually, with our children, with our freedom. It's been a steady downhill plunge. Reagan provided a reprieve, but then we kept going. Bush provided a reprieve, kept going. President Trump is a reprieve. I don't know if we're going to turn it around. Most Christians right now don't want to fight. There is a wave of tolerance that has poisoned us, a wave of laziness, a wave of love of self. We don't want our reputation tarnished. We don't want people to say we're intolerant or we're zealous or we're mean. So the Christian community, by and large, has shrunk back into the shadows, don't want to fight against homosexual marriage, don't want to really end child killing. So President Trump has given us a reprieve. But reprieves do, in fact, and reform usually, this is a fact of the Bible and a fact of history. Most great reforms come from the top down. They are not grassroots. So when you hear people tell you, well, we need grassroots reformation, go to the scriptures. Look at the books of Judges, 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Chronicles, and look at the toxins and look at the reforms. Look at what poisoned the culture and look at what brought reform and righteousness and repentance to the Jews, to the culture. It was kings, priests, leaders. Poison usually comes from the top down. Reform usually comes from the top down. That's just the way it is historically. There are a few times when that isn't the case, but even the collapse of the Roman Empire and the end of idolatry in the Roman Empire, Constantine I, Constantine II. I mean, just read history. So, President Trump is saying he'll only appoint pro-life judges to the bench. This has the demons of hell enraged. And it has the baby killers on earth enraged. President Trump has identified Islam as a threat. This has the demons of hell enraged. It has the left wing who doesn't understand Islam or who's happy to be a friend of Islam because they hate Christianity too. It has them enraged. The Southern Wall, that's all about controlling the presidency and controlling the Supreme Court. So, let me put it to you like this. You remember Josiah in the Bible? The Bible says that Josiah celebrated the biggest Passover in Israel's history. He ended child killing. He obliterated the valley of Topheth. He destroyed houses of Baal. He broke down, under his reign, they broke down the homosexual prostitution booths that had attached themselves physically and literally to Solomon's temple. And the Bible says there was never a king like him who turned to the Lord with all his heart, soul, and mind. Never. Josiah is better than David. But it was just a reprieve. And then his son was a wicked king. And his son's son was a wicked king. And then they continued their descent into hell. And then the Babylonians came and destroyed Jerusalem and destroyed the temple and took captive all of Israel. So I know that President Trump is not a child like Josiah, and I know that he is not a holy man at the level of Josiah. I understand that. But the point is reprieve from the top and then poison from the top that ends in judgment. The reason that the left-wing, God-hating, demon-led people and the demons themselves want Trump out is they want to continue the destruction of America. So my job, your job, is to see that they are not victorious. And friends, that means we have to fight. Go to my website, randallterry.com, to learn more and to help us. God bless you.